Actually, this Jhulan Yatra, it's one of the most popular events that takes place in the holy town of Vrindavan. You know, in Vrindavan they say there's like at least 5,000 temples, where we know that Vrindavan is a place where Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. And this celebration of, this is the celebration of the Jhulan Yatra, the Radha Krishna Swing Festival. Very special festival. And in Vrindavan, amongst the local people, this festival lasts for 13 days. And actually, if you've ever been to Vrindavan at this time of year, you'll see there's hundreds of thousands of people from all the surrounding towns and villages. They all visit Vrindavan at this auspicious time. And during this time, you'll see many varieties of swings in all the different temples. And just practically in Vrindavan, every house is a temple. And you'll see varieties of swings, some very, very opulent swings, you know, made of gold and inlaid with jewels and silver, and sometimes you'll see also very, very simple swings, just decorated with local flowers from the neighbouring forests, all made with love and devotion for the pleasure and service of Sri Radha and Krishna. Not only in Vrindavan, but also other parts of India, you'll find this swing festival celebrated, such as Jagannath Puri, Mathura. Also in all our ISKCON temples around India, and also all our ISKCON temples around the world, this beautiful swing festival is celebrated. And, you know, as we've seen just as today, traditionally, in all our temples, a small set of Radha Krishna deities are taken from the altar and placed on a very nicely decorated swing in the temple room. And the devotees and also members of the congregation are invited to come forward and push the deities on their swing. And I think tradition sometimes they have the flower petals there, you know, and you offer some flower petals on the swing, and then you offer some prayers. Maybe we don't have the flower petals, we could do that. Before you swing the deities, you offer some nice prayers to Radha Krishna, and then you gently push the swing several times while the devotees are chanting Hare Krishna and other traditional prayers and songs, glorifying the divine couple. So in the ISKCON temples, we observe this festival for 5 days, according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So, I mean, whether you observe it for 5 days or 7 days or 13 days, like they do in Vrindavan, the same festival is put on for the pleasure of the divine couple, Radha and Krishna, and their loving associates. So this is a wonderful ceremonial function of Krishna's pastimes. It reflects practically how we're meant to render service to Lord Krishna, who is the Lord of the universe, for his pleasure. You know, in Vrindavan, at this time, it's the monsoon period, you know, and the air is so thick and heavy, and it's so humid with the heat and the rains. Of course, at this time too, the jungles and the fields are just lush and green, and flowers are just blooming everywhere, all around. It's very, very beautiful, actually, in Vrindavan. However, everyone's feeling the humidity, you know, the heat from the rain. So, a real opulence at this time is just to find a nice breeze, you know, to get some relief from the humidity. So the devotees, they arrange for the pleasure and satisfaction of Shri Radha and Krishna a nice breeze for them, to relieve them from the heat by placing them on the swing or the jhulan and swinging them. And this creates a very nice natural breeze from the motion, which cools them down. sometimes actually the devotees, they have a little spray of rose water, and they spray it in the direction, and they direct it towards the divine couple as they're swinging, just to give them that extra coolness. So the atmosphere of this festival, it's especially sweet, as everyone has a chance to come forward and intimately serve Radha and Krishna by lovingly swinging them on their transcendental swing. For this festival, like many other festivals, it's not in any way just a mere ritual. Rather, we should understand that Krishna himself has organized these wonderful festival occasions just to invoke the loving certitude of his devotees. Now, Krishna, we know he's the supreme enjoyer. Everything he does is for his pleasure. In Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, Krishna enjoys this loving reciprocation with his pure devotees throughout the various seasons of the year. So he also enjoys involving us in his loving devotional service, which is our natural condition in the spiritual world. So it is said, although Krishna is completely satisfied, he doesn't need anything. Sometimes he's known as Atmarama. He's completely sad, he doesn't need anything. But still, he eternally hankers to taste the ecstatic bliss derived from the love of his pure devotees. So although he's the supreme controller of everyone and everything, he becomes conquered by the love of his sincere devotees. Which means he allows himself to come under the control of his devotees' pure love. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna declares that, the pure devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in theirs. They do not know anyone else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them. So Krishna is organizing these wonderful festivals so we can enjoy, even though we're not in the spiritual world, in our eternal spiritual forms, serving Krishna, the divine couple personally, Krishna's arranging these festivals. Krishna's appeared in his archer incarnation in the temple and allowed us to serve him, personally serve him. Traditionally, each year at this time, Radharani and all the young brides are taken from their mother-in-law's house by their brothers, and they return to their father's home. So Radharani's brother, Sridhar, he would take her to her parents' home in Bashan. And she would have a nice time there, with her gopi friends and Krishna. And it was at this time that she would enjoy this swing festival, the Jhulan Yatra, during the periods of both day and night. And of course, ultimately, she was not satisfied just swinging on the swing alone or with her gopi friends. She wanted Krishna there. And knowing this, Krishna would sometimes come to her palace in Vashan. But he wouldn't just come there as Krishna, he would come disguised. Krishna, he's an expert at all the 64 Vedic arts. One of those arts is disguises. So sometimes Krishna would disguise himself as a gopi selling bangles or selling beautiful garlands. Or sometimes he would arrange to meet her in a very secret place in the forest where Vrinda Devi was arranged beautiful swing for the divine couple. And usually the swings were made hanging from the Kadamba trees. Actually very, very fortunate because we have a Kadamba tree here. Excuse me. We have a Kadamba tree right here near Govardhana out there. So these swings would be hanging from the Kadamba tree. And it is said, because the Kadamba tree carries the complexion of Srimati Radharani, her beautiful golden form, because the Kadamba trees, when they're in bloom, all the yellow flowers, they create this yellow hue. And they're very sweet smelling, those very sweet smelling yellow flowers. And also the Kadamba tree, we know it's very strong and it's very beautiful. And it is said that this also signifies the superiority of Srimati Radharani, because she can control Krishna by her love. So throughout Vrindavan there are many beautiful swings where Radha and Krishna and the gopis would enjoy these wonderful, loving pastimes together, swinging on these swings, the Jhulans. It is said that on all sides of Radha Kund, Radha Kund is Radharani's own lake. There are these beautiful jewel stairways leading down to jewel bathing ghats. And on either side of the bathing ghats are pairs of wonderfully decorated swings. And these swings are hanging from flower-laden trees. As I said, there's also mango trees, kadamba trees, bakula trees, champak trees. And lining all sides of Radhakund are these kalpa vriksha trees, these wish-fulfilling trees. And they're all bowing down to the divine couple. From the weight of their delicious sweet fruits and intoxicating fragrant flowers. It gives you a picture of the spiritual world. And just outside of Radhakund's gardens, there's actually 6 seasonal forests, which means there's 6 forests, and each forest has a different season. So Radha and Krishna can enjoy the season of their choice. And here, in these forests, we'll find swings and gates and canopies and platforms and courtyards and pathways, all beautifully artistically decorated with flowers by Vrinda Devi and her companions. So in Alita Kund, it is said there is this amazing swing designed to allow the 8 principal gopis. The 8 principal gopis are they're actually direct expansions of Srimati Radharani, and they're her most intimate friends. So this swing is designed to allow the 8 principal gopis to face Radha and Krishna while they swing together. And during these swing festivals, we have, expert gopis. Some gopis would be swinging the divine couple, and you'd also have gopis who were singing beautiful, melodious songs, glorifying the divine couple, Radha and Krishna. Actually, there's one story, once while strolling through the forest, Krishna and Radha and the gopis, they came across this very beautiful swing, which was designed in such a way that 2 persons could occupy seats that would face each other. You can imagine that. When Krishna saw this beautiful swing, he immediately just jumped onto it. And he tried to persuade Radha to join him, because he got 2 seats. However, Radha refused to go on that swing, because she knew that he would swing too high and frighten her. So, in Braj actually, during this time when they're doing the Jhulan Yatra, they sing a very special song. They sing it in the traditional Vrindavan dialogue. And they actually sing this song before this festival is about to begin, just before they start swinging. And this song describes how Sri Krishna has come and is waiting at the swing for his beloved to come. However, Sri Radharani is in she's in man, sulky mood. And the gopi friends try to persuade her. They sang, "Give up your sulky mood, Radha. Come at once, your beloved Krishna is waiting for you." They sing this beautiful song before the festival. And there's actually this pastime where they found this beautiful swing. And Krishna jumps on the swing and he's trying to persuade Radha, "Come, join me on the swing, we'll swing together." But Radharani, she refused to hop on that swing. She told Krishna that after he enjoyed swinging, he could just swing himself. And after he enjoyed swinging, she and one of her gopi friends would enjoy the swing. But Krishna, again and again, he's requesting her to join him on the swing, promising he wouldn't swing too high. And soon Radharani's friends, they all started requesting her, "Oh, come on Radha, you sit on the swing with Krishna and we will push the swing very, very gently, so you cannot go too high. We'll control the swing." So Radharani, she finally agreed to hop on the swing. So she sat on the swing facing Krishna, but she very timidly she hopped on that swing, because she knew that somehow or other this very tricky boy, Krishna, would manage to swing very high and frighten her. So at that time, her girlfriend started pushing the swing very, very gently. And Radharani was just relaxing, enjoying the atmosphere of Radha Kund on the swing. But you know what happened? Is that very tricky boy, Krishna, he started moving his legs, causing the swing to go higher. And it was going higher and higher. And before anyone had realized it, the swing was above the gopis' heads. When Radharani realized what was happening, she demanded Krishna, "You stop the swing immediately," and let her off. But, Krishna, he simply laughed, causing the swing to go higher and higher and higher. And the gopis were calling out to Krishna, "Stop the swing, stop the swing, let Radharani off." But Krishna pretended not to hear them. And the swing went so high, it was above the trees. It was above the trees. And Radharani's shawl just flew off in the wind. And she was so frightened. She was so frightened that she just screamed. And then she jumped into Krishna's arms and held on to him very tight. Actually, it is said that the union of Radha and Krishna embracing on the swing resembled a brilliant lightning flash in the middle of a dark rain cloud. But Krishna was so happy. He became so ecstatic having Radharani's embrace that he became so overwhelmed with happiness that he caused the swing to go even higher and higher, and eventually it did a complete 360. Can you imagine that? It went right so high that it went right over. My God. When all Radharani's girlfriends saw this, they were very surprised. And they all started singing the glories of Radha and Krishna in great ecstasy. Soon after Krishna having accomplished his objective of getting Radhika's embrace, he gradually slowed the swing down and gradually brought it to the stop. Then Radharani, she hopped off the swing, and then she personally pushed the swing. She gave each of the gopis a chance to swing with Krishna. And she would personally push the swing, and she would sing beautiful songs while she was pushing the swing. Because the gopis, they would ask Radharani, are you okay? After you got off the swing, after seeing it going so high, But Radharani, being the greatest devotee and worshipper of Krishna, and possessing the most exemplary and exalted mentality, Radharani would tell her friends, I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna. For his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. So this is we see that in Krishna's pastime. Sometimes Krishna would put Radharani in distress. Actually, it is said, young boys, they like to tease young girls. And young girls like to be teased. I don't know if they do like to be teased. They like to get attention. Just like that time, one day Radharani, she came to a place near Radhakund to pick flowers for making garlands for Krishna. And when she was picking those flowers, there was one very beautiful flower high up on the tree. It was just out of her reach. And she was jumping up, trying to catch the flower. Meanwhile, Krishna, he was watching from a distance. He was watching Radharani picking these flowers. So when she turned away, he secretly climbed up that tree and he put his foot on the branch. So that flower she was trying to get went lower. So when Radharani turned, she noticed a flower that she couldn't reach had come lower. She was surprised. Wow, the flower's come lower. She didn't realize it was Krishna had his foot on the branch, up high in the tree. So she jumped up, she caught that branch to pick that flower. But at that moment, Krishna, he lifted his foot off the branch. And Radharani went flying up in the air, holding the branch. She was screaming for help, hanging high in the tree. Then that great hero, Krishna, mysteriously appeared on the scene to save her. And he lifted her down and embraced her. So, Radharani, she's such a great devotee that, she's known as the Queen of Bhakti. To perform devotional service means to follow in her footsteps. Because devotional service, as I said, is directly under her control. That's why loving devotional service attracts Krishna. And she is the embodiment of perfect devotional service. And her mercy is readily available to any sincere devotee. And once you recommend such a devotee to Krishna, once Krishna just blesses that devotee. So, Krishna would often tease Radharani, but actually there's one pastime where I think Radharani got her revenge. And she, Radharani, just like Krishna, was expert at performing these 64 fine arts. Like I said, one of these arts is creating disguises. So one day, Radharani decided to dress up and look just like Krishna. And she was so expert that she put, the blue on the face, and she had the yellow dhoti and the turban and the chadar and everything. And she made her whole body look dark, and she had the peacock feather and she had the flute. And she just looked exactly like Krishna. Then she thought to herself, I'm going to play a trick on Krishna. She knew Krishna would be coming along a certain pathway, so she waited there, playing her flute. And when Krishna appeared, he was bewildered, seeing someone who looked identical to him, and he inquired, "Who are you?" And Radha said, "I'm Krishna, who are you?" Krishna said, "I'm Krishna, who are you?" Radha said, I'm Krishna, who are you? So this went on for some time. Finally Radha said, if you're really Krishna, then you have to prove it. Krishna said, I will play my flute and Radharani will come. So Radha said, okay, play your flute. So Krishna played a very beautiful tune on his flute. And he was waiting for Radha to come, but nothing happened. And Radha began laughing, telling him, just see, you're such an imposter. You're not Krishna at all. Krishna was really humiliated. Once again, he picked up his flute. He played an even more sweet tune on his flute. Once again, nothing happened. Radha didn't come. And Radha was just laughing and laughing and laughing, enjoying the fun at Krishna's expense. So Krishna was feeling very distressed. Again, this time he picked up his flute and he played the most beautiful tune, the most exquisite melodies on his flute that no one had even heard. And when that beautiful, sweet tune just entered Radha's heart, she started losing all composure. She started exhibiting all the ecstatic symptoms. She couldn't retain her disguise anymore. And she just surrendered to Krishna in the form of that flute sound. So just a little pastime, just showing how that pastime Radha was teasing Krishna. So there's after this pastime of this swinging high pastime, Vrinda Devi escorted the divine couple to an elegantly designed swing in the shape of a big, big lotus flower. Imagine that. Where Radha and Krishna, they sit in the center, and the 8 principal gopis, they sit in seats on the 8 petals of the lotus flower. And then surrounding them, on another 16 petals, is the 16 assistant gopis. Imagine that. This is a big swing. Then Vrinda Devi, she would come while they're sitting on the swing, and she'd bring cool drinks and sweet forest fruits for Radha and Krishna and the gopis to enjoy. Then Vrinda and Nandi Mukhi, then they would smoothly push the lotus, this big lotus swing, back and forward. So it said, this transcendental land of Vrindavan, it's always just bubbling over with a deliciously tasty variety of astounding, delightful, transcendental activities. And it's only in this divine setting where the divine Radha and Krishna just expand, infinitely expand their transcendental pleasure pastimes. Every day around 11 a.m., Krishna, after frolicking in the forest with his cowherd friends, he slips away. He tricks the boys, actually. He slips away to meet Radha and the gopis. And together they would enjoy just unlimited nectarine pastimes together at Radha Kund and surrounding forests, riding on lotus swings and picking flowers together and strolling through the forest, singing beautiful songs by the Jamuna. They'd also engage in different types of pastimes like water squirting wars, water splashing contests. Also there was flute stealing pastimes where they would steal Krishna's flute. Radha would secretly steal Krishna's flute and then he'd pass it to another gopi, then they would pass it to another gopi, and they would hide Krishna's flute in the braids of their hair and in their saris, and Krishna would be trying to get the flute back. And they'd also be decorating one another with flowers, drinking honey nectars, eating forest fruits, playing board games and resting on beautiful flower petal beds. So this Vrindavan, this Goloka Vrindavan, it's Krishna's transcendental eternal abode, where he eternally enjoys himself with his eternal associates and paraphernalia. And he mercifully appears on this earth to manifest these eternal pastimes. And our acharyas, they've written all these pastimes in their wonderful writings, just so we can access and understand and enjoy these pastimes. Actually, they said just by the nature of these pastimes is they're completely transcendental. Therefore, just by reading about these pastimes and hearing about these pastimes, you're able to actually enter into Vrindavan and directly associate with Krishna in that transcendental realm. So this is the highest spiritual realization, to be attached to the personal form of the Supreme Lord. And Krishna is that personal, loving. Krishna appears in many incarnations and many forms and so many aspects of him, but Krishna is the original Supreme Personality, the original form of the Supreme Lord. He's the original from which all other expansions have come. And he is that loving, personal personality of Godhead, and he's offering his love to each and every one of us so perfectly and so completely. Now actually, in our hearts, deep within our hearts, what we're hankering for is just a perfect loving relationship, which means we're hankering for Krishna. Because only he can actually perfectly accommodate everyone's loving endeavours, and he'll always reciprocate our love. Whatever a little bit of endeavour we have, just to try and serve him and please him, he reciprocates with us. And as I said, we all have this loving propensity, and we can only really satisfy this loving propensity when we re-establish our loving relationship with Krishna. And the more we become, the more we hear about him, the more we read about him, chant his holy name, serve him with love and devotion, the more we become attached to him. And the more we can actually enter into a very personal relationship with him and experience his eternal friendship. And realize, ultimately, that he is our Supreme Beloved, and I am his tiny servant. So this wonderful transcendental Jhulan Yatra festival of Sri Radha and Krishna's pastimes, just, as I said, it reflects practically how we can render service to them for their transcendental pleasure. So we too can be part of their transcendental Vrindavan pastimes. And such wonderful festivals have been created by Krishna to invoke our loving sentiments towards them. And he said actually this swing festival is very, very dear to Radha and Krishna. Shri Radha Govinda Jhulan Yatra ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, go.